questions all the time. Okay, wait. Let's get back to business. Nick Sirianni. Interesting little topic. I'm old enough to remember when we were talking about firing him. All of a sudden, his team is red hot. But you know what? Chris Big Dog Canty is still
Big Dog.
not convinced.
Big Dog.
Has Nick Sirianni guaranteed himself of a job with the Eagles next year?
No, he's still got to win a playoff game minimum. 2 guaranteed, but yeah, Nick Sirianni has to win a playoff game. He has to. I don't care if they get the number 1 seed in the first round bye. If they're one and done in the divisional round at home, it's on the board that the Eagles could still move off of Nick Sirianni.
What say you, Mr. Saturday?
This is so dumb. I can't even put it into words how dumb this is. I wish I had the A15 call, because I would read you guys this. You know what Nick Sirianni's record is? It is 44-19. You know the only head coach that's been better than him? John Madden. You know that the only coaches to win more games since 2021 are Andy Reid and McDermott. He's won 2 playoff games. You know the 2 coaches who haven't won playoff games since me and Neek played? Mike Tomlin and John Harbaugh. You know how many? You talk about situational football. The Eagles' offense in his tenure: number 3 in red zone, number 3 in third down, and number 3 in fourth down. We talk about all the fastest. Now, is he the most likable guy? Probably not. Does he win a lot of games? Absolutely he does. That we talk about this dude losing his job is absolute insanity. We have way, way bigger issues in our game with other coaches than this guy just winning and winning and winning some more.
He has the best team in football.
Hold
on. I'm not saying that that's not because of him. I'm saying he's the best team in football, and obviously we are not talking about firing him. But you understand, having been a part of organizations, that there are lots of reasons why teams have success. I can bring up examples. Alex Smith comes to mind. Great quarterback. They were 13-3. That didn't stop them from getting Patrick Mahomes. There are situations where, now stop, before you start yelling and going on. I'm not arguing that Nick Sirianni deserves to be fired. I'm saying that the people who are in the building, who have more information than us, gave us reason to be concerned. There's all the coaches you named, there was not an article about how their quarterback hates them. There are not coaches making goofy faces at the camera in the middle of the Super Bowl, talking trash to the opponent, fighting with their fans. So
hold on a second. Let me just finish right there because I'm going to lose my train of thought. Let's just say this. Okay. So because some people in the room are playing Game of Thrones, it's about that and not wins?
No.
So the 8-8 Tomlin for however many years, or the John Harbaugh not win, it's less important to win and more important to be liked.
No, it's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that there is more context to this decision. Just looking at the stats is not always an accurate depiction of how good a coach is. And I'm not saying that he's bad. I'm not in the building. I'm saying, you know what? I wasn't the one last year at the end of the season.
Let's get
Listen, Sirianni has done an incredible job this year. The reason why he's done an incredible job is because he's turned the tide. It is not unrealistic to question his job security when they failed last season. There was a colossal collapse. They lost 5 of 6 games to end the season and lost to the Buccaneers 32-9 in the playoffs. There was turmoil. He hired 2 coordinators that he had to fire, one of which he demoted in the middle of the season, and the other one that they said were reports that he was undermining with their quarterback, which led to them having an unhealthy relationship. Coming into the season, they started 2-2. This is the best roster in the NFL. They are not building this roster to get to the playoffs. So Big Dog is actually right. Right? If they go to the playoffs and they lose, that is a failure of a season in back-to-back seasons. But Sirianni has done an incredible job of coaching. The reason why he's done an incredible job coaching, hold on, let me finish before you get in here and start biting people. The reason why he's done an incredible job of coaching is because he's done the thing that has been rare in NFL coaching, which is you growing, changing the way you go about your business to turn the tide. You can feel that from his players. You can feel that he's fell back. You can hear quotes from Jalen Hurts, who says Sirianni has grown from the beginning of the season. And that's what the rare coaching job that he's done, which is why he's put himself in position to continue as the head coach.
Okay, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. I have a video that's going to be posting where I absolutely defend and praise what Nick Sirianni has done. Okay? So you can't come at me saying that I'm, being a hater, being negative, or anything like that, or being, against Nick Sirianni. I'm not exactly sure when this video is going to post, honestly. So that video is either going to be posting tomorrow or yesterday, depending on when I actually end up, posting this video. I haven't decided yet, honestly. But I'm recording this on Wednesday. I'll say that. And so here's the reality. The expectations for the Eagles, they're not the Ravens. They're not the Steelers. First off, there's a big argument that Harbaugh should be fired. Okay? You got Lamar Jackson as your quarterback. You better make AFC Championship games and win. Okay? Let's put that aside. Okay? And the Pittsburgh Steelers and Mike Tomlin haven't had a quarterback for years. Which, again, you can blame Mike Tomlin for not being able to, get that offense going and making sure that he does get the correct quarterback. But there is some serious issues with that. Just going 8-8 is not good enough. Just never having a losing record is not the expectations for the Philadelphia Eagles. The expectations are winning playoff games, getting to NFC Championship games, getting to Super Bowls. I've said this before many times. The Eagles have more Super Bowl appearances in just the last in the last 7 years than most teams have playoff wins. Playoff wins. Donovan McNabb famously said this years ago with Chip Kelly. He said, Chip Kelly better win a playoff game, otherwise he's gone. And people are like, oh, McNabb, you're just being old, retired, and grumpy. And then he got fired, and he's like, I told you guys. McNabb understands the expectations of that franchise. It's to win. It's not to be the Dallas Cowboys and have 12-win seasons only to get rocked and not even reach an NFC Championship game in 30 years. That is not who the Philadelphia Eagles are. And this team is stacked. They are. So yeah, when he's going through all the stats, they're the number 3 in red zone and number 2 in this and number 1. Yes, that's all the reason why if they don't reach the Super Bowl or win the Super Bowl, then there's a major issue. A major issue. And you'll have to diagnose if they lose. Did they just lose to a better team? Or did they lose because of situationally? Was the team not well prepared? Was the game plan bad? Then you'll have to kind of diagnose why. But I've said this before the season even started. Anything short of a Super Bowl appearance in Sirianni will most likely be gone. And the only way, unless you lose to, say, the Chiefs again or something, it's hard to imagine even if they lose the Super Bowl that they would keep him. You can't credit, because again, you want to say, oh, he's winning all these games. The roster has been elite, has been special. We can't say how amazing this roster is with AJ and Devontae and Jalen and Saquon and this amazing O-line, and now this great defense, and even in 22 when they had also another great defense and a great D-line and all of that. We can't say how great this roster is, but then give all the playoff wins, or just all the record, all those wins, attributing to Nick Sirianni. It just can't work both ways like that. You just can't. It's not like this roster has been really banged up and not good, and Sirianni was keeping it going. And the problem is right now, when you look at this team, you can see Fangio is what got that defense going. Howie Roseman is the one who made sure that he went out and got the Saquon Barkley, Cooper DeJean, Mitchell. He's the one that did it. He's the one that went out and got Fangio. People said, oh my God, it's crazy. Nick Sirianni wasn't even able to pick his coordinators. That it was Howie Roseman that picked his coordinators. Seems like those were the right moves, don't you think? Kellen Moore in this offense is humming. Fangio in this defense is humming. And so what I've talked about in my previous video, or that I will talk about tomorrow, depending on when this video is posted, is that Sirianni has instilled a tremendous amount of belief and confidence. And that cannot be understated. I talk about that at length, that he has done that to a very, very high level. that he has instilled an insane level of belief in this team and that they are now ready. They are prepared. They believe in themselves. They understand what needs to be done. And Sirianni deserves a tremendous amount of credit for that. A tremendous amount of credit for that. But what happens? Let's say the Eagles actually do win the Super Bowl. Let's say they win the Super Bowl. I mean, Kellen Moore will probably be gone. Then where do you go back with the offense? That's the problem. You have to keep playing this game. Who's going to be the OC now? Fangio should be locked. It doesn't seem like he's going to want to be a head coach again. He probably just really wants to be up top, wants to just kind of take care of the defense and do what he does. So you probably kind of have a similar situation with Andy Reid and Spags there. Kellen Moore's going to want to be a head coach. I'll be pretty confident in that. Maybe he doesn't, but, he probably will. And you might get like some interesting offers for some interesting teams. So who knows? And then it's like, okay, well, now we're back to square one. Who's the OC for the Philadelphia Eagles? What does Sirianni do? Does he start to try to, put his fingerprints on the offense? Because that was the problem. When the Eagles, not only did they have injuries, but there was a lot of conversation of Nick Sirianni is undermining Kellen Moore. Now he's stepped back and is letting Kellen Moore run that offense. Like some of the things that have benefited Nick Sirianni is his maturity and stepping back. And not to mention, if Nick Sirianni actually gets fired, then that means that's going to be the will of Howie Roseman. He has proven himself to be an elite, top, next level GM. So if you're going to put your trust in anyone, if you're a Philadelphia Eagles fan, it should be him. Because what he's been doing, the teams that he's been building are special. The fact that they went to the Super Bowl and won in 2017, and then 5 years later with a completely different head coach and a completely different quarterback, and with outside of a handful of pieces, a completely different roster, is unheard of. It does not happen. It is unheard of. Unheard of. Usually when those things happen, it's because you have the same coach, the same quarterback. It makes sense. If you have Andy Reid and Mahomes, like, yeah, of course. That's not what happened. So it's insane to be able to build another. You got teams all around the NFL that can't build a playoff roster, an NFC or AFC championship game roster. And you got Howie building multiple Super Bowl rosters. It's insane. Absolutely insane. Insanity. Can't talk. So yeah, the Eagles went to the Super Bowl in 22. They lost to the dynasty of the Kansas City Chiefs. That is a tough loss. Undeniable. And I'm not going to blame Sirianni for that or anything else. Then 23 happened, and I did not see it as a collapse. I'm very firm. They were never as good as their record seemed to be. They also had a lot of injuries, unfortunately. And again, being rolled by the Bucs. Jalen Hurts dislocated his finger. His knee was messed up. A.J. Brown wasn't even playing. Jason Kelsey's about to retire. Right? Who's the other guy on defense? His name completely slipped my mind right now. He retired. Can't think of his name. He was on the Super Bowl roster, and won in 17, right? Didn't he? I'm pretty sure, yeah. And so it's like, that roster was hanging on by a thread. They needed, they had bad coordinators. They needed new coordinators. They needed to get younger and upgrade on defense. But like so much of what makes this team special is, the offensive line coach, is Fangio, is Kellen Moore, getting Saquon Barkley. So yeah, so much of this success, we can't put it all on Sirianni. We just can't. He's a contributing factor, but he's not the factor. Andy Reid is the factor. I don't want to say more important than Patrick Mahomes because they're both the factor, but it's kind of like 50-50 in a lot of ways. And Spags for that matter. Yeah, they were able to be great, not because Alex Smith was a great quarterback. He had like one good year with Harbaugh, another great coach. Outside of that, Alex Smith was largely seen as a bust. And Andy Reid really made something. The Kansas City Chiefs were nothing. And he turned that franchise around. That's what a coach does. And it's not like that roster was stacked. Not to mention, Andy Reid had a tremendous amount of responsibility for building that roster. He's the one that goes to the GM and said, get me Patrick Mahomes. That was Andy Reid's doing. That was. Nick Sirianni didn't say, get me Cooper DeJean. Get me Saquon Barkley. There's different levels to all of this. Majorly different levels to all of this. The Detroit Lions would take a huge step back if Ben Johnson goes away and leaves. That is the danger you have when you have a head coach who doesn't really completely run an offense or defense. They are beholden to their coordinators, and so those coaches honestly should always will always be closer to the hot seat than not, as I keep losing my camera. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Nick Sirianni? If the Eagles exit playoffs early, I mean, that question alone, if they exit the playoffs early, he will absolutely be fired. There's not a doubt in my mind. Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.